All right, so Philadelphia Eagles take on Washington at a 1 p.m. start in Philadelphia at the Link. Two things I was kind of looking for just going into this game. First, was Quez Watkins going to be back? I think that's going to be a good indicator of how our passing attack is going to fare. Like I mentioned before in a previous video, Quez Watkins being able to spread the defense out, take the ball defense deep, and then us throw the ball underneath. To the receivers AJ and Smitty in Dallas, has been successful in the past years. Zacchaeus is not a guy. Olmadad Zacchaeus is not typically a guy that's going to take the top off the defense. He's a 4 or 5 guy. He musters around in the middle of the field as well too. Those other guys. So a lot. Devontae Smith has taken a lot of Quez Watkins routes where he's been kind of nullified as far as being the vertical guy and not necessarily being open because he's getting a lot of crowd coverage. But lo and behold, what you see this year, which is he had the backside man coverage, a touchdown against the Vikings, and then had the deep pass as well too. But you saw him kind of get lost in the mix, versus Tampa Bay. Now we did like we mentioned, we played three defensive coordinators that are spectacular. Belichick, Flores, and then we played Todd Bowles. Defensive minds like that, it's hard because they throw a lot of things at you. They study you, they observe you, they dissect everything you do, and then they throw a bunch of mess at you on game day. I don't think that we're facing another defensive coordinator that I think it has the same type of mind. Defensive coordinator for I think Washington. It's Jack Del Rio. Jack Del Rio, I think that he's his fourth position, the coordinator for the 49ers, and I think that he has quite a bit of stuff up his mind, stuff up his boat. Like Jack Del Rio, we understand the defense. He was a head coach for Jacksonville, but those defenses that he had were tough. So we're not getting a break by facing a lot of the players in the press conference saying, "Well, we're facing a tough defensive coordinators." Jack Del Rio has been a tough defensive coordinator throughout his career. Let's understand that he's not just some subtle mind that we're going into, and we can just go and do whatever we want with him. There's gonna be things thrown at Jalen at Jalen Hurts that he probably hasn't seen before either. We have the toughest schedule in football, and we're facing some tough teams. We're not facing easy teams. And it doesn't get easier with Jack Del Rio. I think that's one of the reasons why we lost him last year. A defensive mind like Jack Del Rio can confuse a rookie offensive coordinator, which can confuse a quarterback. I think that improvisation is something that we're gonna if the run game isn't established. They talk about that front four for Washington: Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen, what's the guy's name? Jonathan Allen, Chase Young, and the other guy, I forgot, Darren Payne. That's a front four that's tough. That's a tough front four. I personally think when it comes to stopping the run, so if the run isn't there, what do we do? Allude to the pass? And that secondary, they do a really good job. And they did last year. They did a good job last year as far as confusing and stopping us. On the second game they played, during the second game they played us. So I do think that it's going to be a tougher game than we expect. I think the defense is going to have to stay disciplined, get to Sam Howell, frustrate him, stop the run. Brian Robinson, he can run the ball, he can tote the rock, and like I say, he gets better and better and better and better as he runs the ball. Gibson as well too. You have to look and watch out for him catching the ball at the backfield, chip him, hit him, elbow in his rib, whatever you can do to inflict pain on him coming out the backfield will be ideally how you can win because the guy makes plays. So that running back tandem that they have right there is tough. It's solid. So it's not going to be some walkover game. They talk about Sidney Brown being out. I'm not too worried about that. If our front four is doing what they're supposed to do on the front end, we can make plays on the back end. Because you have Avonte Maddox out, you have Sidney Brown out. It sucks because your two safeties are out. What do? Do you move Bradbury over to the slot and then put in Job? And I think we might see some Eli Ricks as well too. I would like to get Eli Ricks in there early. I think that he just needs some discipline, and he's going to be a tough cornerback. I like him in some man coverage if he needs to come in and play some slot. if they're because they're passing the ball. I like that as well too. They have some receivers who can fly. Dino Brown, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson. So they got some guys who can who can push vertical. And Terry McLaurin, one of the best receivers in the game, underrated. Knows how to find spots in the zone. Knows how to get open to man coverage. He's a true Z receiver who can do it all. So I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park game for us. I think it's going to be a tough, hard-fought game. I think that we're going to have to do more than what we did the previous 3 weeks to win, just because they have more film, they know what works and what doesn't work. We need better play out of Jalen Hurts, and not say better play out of Jalen Hurts. We need better decisions and not the lapse of judgment by Jalen Hurts. We don't want to have to go out of this game relying on the defense. If Philly Nation wants to feel confident about anything, do we at least get good quarterback play? Do we win this game by Jalen Hurts not making mistakes? One of the reasons, he blames himself for losing the Super Bowl was that fumble. So if Jalen Hurts can go into that game and not make mistakes, that's fine. Have a well-balanced attack. A.J. Brown, this is not about you. It's about, okay, who's open. And you'll see, if you guys watch this game, we typically go to Devontae Smith on third down. That's our go-to guy on third down. And I think that's what we have to kind of focus on. Is just throw it to the open man. If God is there, God is there. If Stoll is there, Stoll's there. But making sure that he's spreading the ball out, getting to the guy, he's feeding the open guy. I think that's what we have to focus on. Beat Washington up early and then just run the ball. That's the recipe. That's what we saw the Bills do. We saw Washington come back in a couple of games. But if you want to beat Washington, beat up on them early and then leave them no hope at all to win the game. So what I'm personally looking for as a Eagles fan, I'm looking at does Jalen Hurts make the throws that he needs to make does he lead this team from performance? That's the first thing. The second thing is, does our offensive line win at the point of attack? Do we win the offensive line of scrimmage? And that's what I'm looking for as well too. On the defense end, how does our secondary play look against this receiving tandem? I think it's gonna be one of the better receiving tandems that we face all year. And I think what also I'm looking for is, does Brian Johnson get better as a play caller? I mentioned that he's going to get better every week because this is his first time being a play caller. Yeah, he did quality control. He was a passing coordinator. But play calling is different. And play calling doesn't you as a play caller, you don't think, okay, I'm going to go in. This is what works for us in our script. As a play caller, you look and say, here's what works against this Washington team from what we've seen. Then you say, this is what works from this Washington team from years back. This is what works for that Washington team, from last year's film. This is what Jack Del Rio did 10, 15 years ago. All right? This is what Jack Del Rio did 2 years ago with the same set of guys. Then you say, okay, individual players, what are their tendencies? All right? So you have to break down the defense to the nth degree and understand tendencies. If you understand the tendencies of a defensive coordinator, as an offensive coordinator, you can beat out talent. So Brian Johnson's mind can win us some games if he's going to get better as a play caller, but really breaks down that film from decades and years ago. This is what the better coaches do. So I go on to say that because it's going to be a chess match. I think that it's going to be a gritty match. It's a division match, and I believe that we're going to come on top. But playing 4 quarters of football is going to be the most important thing.